looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. I've been looking around for salvation. All around me I see frustration. I've been looking around for the truth. I've been looking around for salvation. All around me I see frustration. I've been looking around for the truth. I've been looking around for salvation. All around me I see frustration. I've been looking around for the truth. I've been looking around for salvation.
It's where you
Looking around for truth. Looking around for salvation.
it's where
Looking around for truth.
it's where know that life outside is so hard. There's a lot of things that can tear you apart. I know the roads sometimes feel lonely, but remember you're not the one and only. There's always someone there to help you, a helping hand to pull you through. There's only one thing you should do. Take my hand and join the Love and Laugh crew. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then that love and life guide you. Oh yeah.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Well, tonight I'm talking to Silke Kaiser, and we're going to be talking about scams and, how people try and take money off you on the internet. And just so you're aware, probably everybody watching this live stream right now, who watches it in the future, has at some time been scammed on the internet. I have. I've been scammed a couple of times. And you've got to be so damn careful. That's the bottom line. Now, this is a pre-recorded live stream. I have to let you know it is pre-recorded because of the load shedding issues in South Africa. But let's get Silke Kaiser on and let's get the show on the road. Here we go. Hi, Silke. Good to see you again.
Good evening, Scott. How are you doing?
Excellent, thank you. And you did that so well, because this is now a pre-recording because of load shedding, which is one of the things we have to face in South Africa. And
personally,
yeah,
I think Eskom has basically collapsed.
Oh, look, I know Eskom's collapsed. Look, We're not going to go there because we're talking about scammers, and let's face it, the whole of the ANC ministry are a bunch of scammers. So we're right at home. We're right at home with what's going on in South Africa. Now, I want to talk to you as someone who knows a lot about this subject, and I know a fair amount about this subject too. But let's get into this. Why do people get scammed when there is so much information out there?
Because the scammers are as sly as rats. They can read you. They are extremely professional. They know what works. They know how to suck people in. That is why people get scammed. But hopefully tonight I can give them some knowledge, because that knowledge will be their power. I do not get scammed. I do get approached in shops. Please help me buy my baby milk. And do you know what I say, Scott? I say, sorry, I'm old, can't hear you, speak up. Eventually they have to shout what they want me to do. I need milk for my baby, and I don't want to shout because my dogs are here, and if I shout then they get scared. So that's the one thing that I do if I'm approached in a shop, because that is always a scam. That is always people that are taking drugs.
Well, you know
So
what you know what I do in that situation? Ek praat die taal. Now I'm in Australia, so if someone comes up to me in a shop and says, "Oh, I need milk for my baby," or somebody says, "Verskoon my," and you see the expression, and then I say, "Ek praat nie Engels nie," and of course Engels is enough to say English, so they get the idea that I don't speak English, and they go and wander off for another target. So using a different language is a very good option to what you just suggested.
Also, I mean, I should speak German, but your Afrikaans is better than my German at the moment, Scott.
Now, look, people can be scammed on so many different fronts.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's just absolutely extraordinary. Over to you.
Right, so I've made a list of what I wanted to talk about today.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about Facebook. And especially when you lose your pet, or somebody loses their beloved pet, they are beside themselves, they're not thinking rationally because their minds are going to very dark places, and they advertise their pets, please help find our dog, and they receive a phone call. And normally it goes like this. There are different variances, but this is one of the ways it goes. My sister works for a lady who lives in Sandton. That lady has got your cat. If you pay us the reward, we will return the cat to you, or the dog to you, or the giraffe, or the horse, or whatever's lost.
Or the lion.
It's a scam. It's a scam. They do not have your pet at all. Do not be fooled. And then you want photographs, etc., etc., and they'll send you photographs of maybe a dog that looks similar or a cat that looks similar. It's still a scam. Just be very, very careful, and do not even meet those people. You don't want to meet those people. If you meet them, it is always in a public place, but do not be fooled by them at all.
Yeah.
And also, Facebook. People sell stuff on Facebook. They are so convincing. Yes, we'll send you the stuff. You pay us. You'll get your crochet blanket or your gas stove. You don't pay like that. You don't do that. That's just really stupid. Can't trust a stranger. You want that stuff in your hand before you pay. Another thing that they will do, very, very convincing. I'll send my driver to come and collect that stove, and I'll do an EFT. That EFT is fake. You will be sent a notification. It's a fake notification. I can type up a notification from the bank right now, send it to someone to say I've done an EFT for whatever I want to buy. It's fake. You do not, when you are a seller as well, you don't hand over any goods until that amount has been cleared in your bank. And in fact, when I sold my car to a very, very nice gentleman, I did not release my car until I had phoned the bank and I had said to them, is it possible for them to reverse this EFT? They said, no, I got a reference number, I got the name of the person I spoke to, the time and the date, everything was fine, the money did go in my account, it did stay in my account, the car was handed over, it was a very amicable transaction. But on Facebook, be careful. Do not buy stuff over Facebook until it's in your hand, and if you are selling, do not be fooled by fake EFTs and the driver coming or the Uber driver coming or the courier coming because you won 6 stoves or 6 whatever else they buy, washing machines, etc. It's fake, and they'll fool you because they'll say they just want one washing machine, and they will be so convincing that when their courier comes and you get that EFT, it's so quick and so sudden that you can't think straight. And that is how people become fooled many, many times on Facebook. It's a cesspool of scamsters. Like dating sites are cesspools for sociopaths and narcissists.
Before we go to dating sites, I want to stick with Facebook for a little while, because Facebook is basically like going out there in the jungle. It's like going into the Serengeti without any guides and hoping that the lions don't tear you apart. Because when you got a Facebook page and you put up photos of your family, and you put photos up of your beautiful 4-wheel drive vehicle, you put photos up of your house, and perhaps by accident the post box with the numbers on it and stuff like that, what you're doing is you're providing intel to scammers. Because
correct.
Now, maybe you'd like to expand on the dangers of putting anything up on Facebook. I have just for the record, I have a Facebook page which I put up 15 years ago, and the photo I have of myself is 15 years old. I've put absolutely nothing else up on it, and I won't.
Well, luckily enough, I'm too old to be human trafficked. But human trafficking in South Africa has become, it has increased dramatically. Yesterday, there was a child that was almost kidnapped outside her school. Somebody tried to grab her, and a teacher saw and saved her. You don't want to be putting up photographs of your children and just on your Facebook page, on the info, no workplaces to show, no friends to show, no, definitely not your address and where you stay, and etc., etc. You definitely do not put anything like that up. So the human trafficking is really bad. And another thing, just going off scams for a little bit as well, your dogs. I cringe, Scott, cringe every time I walk my dogs. So many dogs at the gates, poisoned. They will lift your dog over your fence by hooking your dog on the collar and take your dog over, and then your dog is treated as a bait dog. Probably never see that dog again. And unsterilized dogs are far more likely to be stolen, especially for dog fighting and breeding, than sterilized dogs. You know, my dogs go to doggy daycare during the day, and at night they are inside. Inside.
I have to
now, you
say...
see, I've just given information,
Yeah.
but I mean, nobody can get into my place. I've got such good alarms and such a good system in my house
Be
here.
careful. Yeah. Now, Silke, I just want to say that it's amazing for these criminals who've probably got IQs south of 70. When it comes to crime, they seem to be so incredibly, informed on what to do. That they are so incredibly smart at what they do. Is this years of practice, or is this just something that comes to them naturally?
They are taught, so they work in gangs, and then they are taught. So people, they learn what will work, what will intimidate you. In a house robbery, they know immediately what will intimidate you. They know how to psychologically overpower you immediately, because they have been taught from the hierarchy in the gangs. So the higher ups will have that information.
Right.
And say, you do this and you do that. I mean, I'm too scared at the moment to walk my dogs.
Wow.
I'm terrified that they get stolen. And I've got them on the lead and I walk with a taser, but I'm terrified that they get stolen. I'm so scared that somebody stops their car, grabs my dogs, and then they're gone.
Yeah. No, look, it's shocking.
This is how we are
And
living in this country.
now, look, I would give anybody who's got a Facebook page up there on the internet that's open to the public to change the settings tonight to private. In other words,
Immediately.
only those people who you've accepted as friends can actually see what's on your page. If you've got it open slather, it's like putting out there photos and information to potential criminals who come in and just steal you blind. And with the new laws in South Africa, you can't touch them. You've got to go and phone the police. Well, good luck with
Who
that.
don't come in any case.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, children should not be walking home from school unattended. They should not. And you know that the human trafficking is even happening in the shopping centres. People looking for victims in shopping centres, and then they convince them to get into their vehicles. It's insane. Stop and think. You make wise choices. You are not going to get into a car with a stranger, no matter how convincing his story is.
Yeah.
You keep yourself safe. And don't worry about being polite. Be rude. Be rude. You have permission to be rude. Somebody comes to you with a sub story, they want you to get in the car with them, be rude. You have my full permission.
Yeah, look, I would go one step further. I actually had a live stream just a week or so ago with a lady about human trafficking. And she said that 2/3 of human trafficking is not people trafficked to or people who've been kidnapped in shopping centers and stuff like that. 2/3 of people who are actually being trafficked are family members and often wives of husbands where they need cash, and those wives have been sold for prostitution, to get cash. And this is going on around the world, and of course in South Africa it's big time. So human trafficking is not just someone coming up and stealing your child. It can be happening under your nose at your neighbor's house, where the wife or the child has been prostituted to get cash for the family. It's
Absolutely
huge.
correct. I've just finished reading a book, which I think it was called Trafficked. She was speaking to a guy in Italy for nearly 5 years. She went over, everything was perfect for the first weekend. Next thing, and I'm going to use the word pumping her out, that's human trafficking. So a lot of boyfriends and men will pump their woman out, and that is a form of human trafficking. So again, women must make wise choices. We choose, if there's a red flag, we don't mix that red flag up with butterflies. A red flag is a red flag, and you are in danger.
Yeah. Now,
you know that I'm very much for women empowering themselves and making wise choices.
Yeah. Now, one of the areas that there's a lot of scamming is to do with shopping centers and supermarkets and chains of supermarkets and stuff like that. Do companies do anything about these scammers when it involves them? Like they're being used as part of the scam?
So let me tell you, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it. When you go into a lot of Pick and Pays and a lot of Checkers and a lot of Woolworths, there are cameras everywhere. They have people sitting in a room watching those cameras to make sure you don't shoplift, that if you eat a chocolate, that you pay for that chocolate if you eat that chocolate while you're shopping.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. When they see somebody being approached, they will at times take action. It depends on how invested the employee that is watching the cameras will be invested in their job to do something. But what can you do? Let's say I'm shopping and somebody approaches me. What crime has he actually committed at that time? But they do not allow it. Because when these people approach him and I say, speak up, let me just call the security guard so that he can translate for me. I cannot hear you. I'm old. I can't hear you, is what I say. They run because the shops do not allow it. They do not allow the begging either.
Yeah. Look, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, South Africa is an extreme case, and there's every day I hear about kidnappings that took place, and Obviously, they go for the targets where they can actually then, if they're not going to sell these people on, they're going to actually be asking for a ransom to release people.
The kidnapping, so they are kidnapping the very wealthy people. The people that have been kidnapped are watched first. These gangs do what we call a renaissance. They check it out first. They have a lot of info on their victims. A lot. But children sell for millions and millions and millions of rands.
Now,
If I had a child, my child I would have to know every minute of every day where my child is. And there's no ways I would allow my child to even wait outside the school gates. Wait inside the school gates, my car gets there, he gets in or she gets in.
yeah. Well, look, I spoke to this lady who, what she does is she specializes in this human trafficking aspect. And she said the worst time of the year for the kidnapping of especially young children is just before Halloween, which is where we are right now. Halloween is
Oh, that's interesting. Is that because of the, so that might be even to be with superstition?
No. It's to do with rituals.
Yes, so superstition, I mean rituals, yes.
Yeah.
Superstition to sacrifice those children.
Exactly.
Yo, that's very, very scary. I wonder if that's happening in South Africa because Halloween is catching on here, but not as much as in America.
Well,
that's interesting. I don't deal in human trafficking, so that's quite fascinating to me.
Well, I can tell you, I'm talking to Muzi and Kozi a couple of days before Halloween, and one of the things we're going to be talking about is how in the African townships, kidnappings of young children just before Halloween go absolutely through the roof because those children are then sacrificed on Halloween's day. And this is
I would not have realized that
happening in South Africa.
Yes, that's very interesting to me. I'm going to do research on that because I find it quite fascinating that in the township they would even consider Halloween as being important. That's very interesting to me. But maybe that's to do with witchcraft as well.
Well, what is
and maybe that's been absorbed into the culture here.
Yeah, what it's to do with apparently is because of this belief that they can speak to the forefathers. The ancestors.
It's witchcraft, yes. So ancestral,
it's all tied up with that. But, on Halloween night is when they have these little get-togethers and, the child is sacrificed. And, I mean, it's for anyone listening, they're going to be saying, what? This is bullshit. They would believe me, it's happening. And it's not just happening.
I know it's happening, yes. I didn't realize about Halloween, but I do know it's happening. And children in townships are very vulnerable.
Yeah.
So at one time I was involved in townships with rescuing of animals. The adults drinking and these little, innocent, tiny children, so vulnerable because it's one touch and that child has been sexually abused.
Yeah.
And you can never take that back.
There are, again, this is something that someone told me just last night in a live stream, that there are men who are sent into places like Khayelitsha where there are dozens of kids wandering around, just, unaccompanied, and they have a big bag on their backs full of sweets. You can imagine what those sweets are used for.
Wow.
And that is what is happening right now in South Africa. Here we are, 6:30 o'clock in the morning in South Africa. Right now in Khayelitsha, there'll be a number of these guys wandering around with these big packs on their back full of sweets, looking for young children that they can abscond. That's happening.
Vulnerable
right
children
now.
Where the parents are not invested at all.
Exactly.
And of course the police are doing nothing about this. I mean, that's not even in the media in South Africa. That is very, very worrying.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very worrying.
Now, just getting back to Okay.
Our scams.
Our scams, yeah, because we kind of got into.
I want to talk about. I want to talk about another scam that's
Okay.
very, very
But
prevalent.
before you do, getting back to these companies, why don't they inform the public about these scams on the media?
Because I think they do not want the bad publicity. Imagine Checkers or Pick and Pay or Woolworths saying, be careful when you come in here that you are not approached. I mean, people would be scared. We do have a lot of, there's signs in a lot of places saying, be careful of car jamming. But there's no sign saying, if you are approached by somebody asking you for milk, please call the security. If you are approached by, and I'll say to them as well, show me your baby. When did you have your baby? Was it Caesar? Was it natural birth? When was that baby conceived? I'll ask a whole lot of questions to make it impossible for them.
Now, just you mentioned car jamming. Now, do you want to describe or tell people what car jamming is? What they do?
So it's okay. So it's called jamming, and that was on my list. So car jamming.
Yeah.
So when we park our cars and we hit our little remote and it locks our cars automatically, there will be people watching you that have got a gadget that jams your remote and your car does not lock. They then steal everything out of your car. Laptops, whatever's in your car, they will take it out. And in broad daylight in a parking lot.
And not only that,
So
if your car
is locked.
But if your car is one of those ones you just have to push a button on the dashboard, they can actually drive off with your car as well, can't they?
Of course. And cars that they say are unstealable are being stolen.
Yeah.
But when you park in a parking lot, so I feel very sorry for car guards in South Africa. They have to pay. It depends on which section of the parking lot they are based. So if it's like in a place that's not regarded as lucrative, they pay about 60 Rand. If they are standing in the space in the parking lot that is close to the shops, maybe 120 Rand.
Now who they pay the money to?
Either to the, okay, so that will either be to the center management, or it will be to the security company with which the center management, which they have employed.
You are
to
joking.
Guard
hang on.
It's a stunt.
Let me get this right. So if I go into one of these supermarket complexes where you got a whole lot of stores and you got these guys who come and look after your car, they're actually paying the center management or the security money to actually doing the job of protecting your car.
Correct. And if they don't make enough tips for that day, they have to pay it the next day.
That is scandalous.
That is, so I go to Meadowdale Mall. They have a security company there called Nagada. I've run in with Nagada before because they had a security guard dog there that had nothing, not even a bowl for water. So I had a cadenza, a complete cadenza. Then I spoke to the guards one day and I said to them, I just questioned them because, the reason I learn about crime is because I speak to people. And they were telling me they have to pay Nagada security where you stand 60 Rand or 120 Rand. The audacity of that. But what I want to say to you is that most car guards are wonderful. I mean, a lot of them are Congolese and doctors, for example. Yeah. They are mainly foreigners. Of course, South Africa has not dealt with the foreigners' issues in this country properly at all. Now they want to send all the Zimbabweans back. It's another story. The ANC scream humanitarianism, but they certainly don't employ it. We must remember that foreigners are human beings like us, and there should be a proper paperwork trail for them that they could be anchored to South Africa, be legal in an affordable way. This 15,000 Rand, 10,000 Rand that they have to pay, the ANC is just not, anyway, they must handle everything. But sometimes car guards are involved in the theft of your car. So when your car is stolen from a parking lot, 90% of the time, a car guard will be involved.
Wow.
Somebody will be following you to see if you are shopping. They will be communicating with the people outside and steal your car. So I drive a bakkie. I have to lock my car. So I'm not a fancy girl. I don't need fancy stuff at all. I don't wear labels. I drive a bakkie. I don't care. I don't need a BMW at all. I could not care what people think about me. I'm not in for image at all.
Yeah.
But I always put, and people laugh at me, I always put a steering lock on my car when I park each and every time. It will not stop them, but it takes time to get it off.
Yeah.
So what do robbers want to do? They want to be able to steal your car in seconds. And as I come out of each shop, I mean, it's a mission, but I will walk to my car every time. If I go into Apple Tree, come out to my car. Go into Meat World, come out to my car every single time.
Yeah. Now,
So sometimes car guards are involved in stealing. When your car is stolen, normally a car guard is involved as well. They're watching. They know exactly what's going on there. Exactly.
it's their turf. Now, Silke, who is most likely to be scammed?
People who are just not thinking. So when you are rushed, when you're harassed, and you are not thinking, and you are almost innocent in this world, because the way we look at others, the perception comes from ourselves. So the way that I'm in this world, I would expect others to be. So if I'm an honest person, I expect others to be honest. But because I've worked in polygraph for so long, I could probably be I've been scammed. I was scammed many years ago on Facebook by a guy. Another story. But anyway, I learned a big lesson there. But, I know, because I know so many of the scams, I am not easily scammed.
Yeah.
So I want to talk now why I could not be scammed. So I am with MTN. MTN is a cell phone service provider in South Africa. We have Vodacom, we have Virgin, we have Cell C, and I know I'm missing one of them. I forget, Telkom, I think. So what they do, and it has to be somebody inside MTN because they have all your information. They phone me, and they did this to me numerous times. And Scott, I love it. I love it because I know they're trying to scam me. And this is what the one guy said to me. He said, we have a Mr. Donnie Latachan. He's at Menlyn Mall, and he's trying to do a SIM swap on your card. So I knew it was a scam. I said, no, that's absolutely perfect. That's my husband. Yeah, I'm very glad they're doing some swap. They phoned me about 2 weeks later with the exact same story. This time I handled it differently. I went berserk. I pretended to lose my temper. I said, I'm in Menlyn Mall right now. Keep him there. Keep him there. And when I get there, I'm going to slit his throat. And the guy saying to me, because what they want you to do is they send you a number. This is why I'm saying it's from MTN. Yeah. They send you an OTP number. Yeah. With that you've got to give them the OTP number to stop the SIM swap, which is not happening. They will clean out your entire account. They will buy so much airtime, 20, 30, 40,000 rands worth of airtime. Wow. So when somebody phones from MTN, you tell them, I will phone MTN myself and I will ask them what is going on. But the second time they phoned me, I said, I'm actually in Menlyn Mall right now. And I said, screaming. I said, I'll go there, I'll slit his throat, I'll slice him horizontally and vertically, his organs will be on the floor, I'll be on the news. What is your name? Scamsters, their mothers who did the mothers have sex with so that they were born, etc. And this guy was just trying to say to me, I just need the OTP number. And then I calmed down completely like a sociopath because, I've been talking to sociopaths. And I said, or are you the scamster? Are you the one that needs to have his throat slit? So they don't expect a 57-year-old woman to speak like that. Do you know, they've never phoned me again? Never. And I was getting a phone call once a week. So when MTN, Cell C, or whatever they phone you and they make a big panic saying your SIM card is being swapped, you tell them whatever you want to. You have permission. Use whatever language you want to. Or you can just say good day to you. You phone MTN, you phone Cell C and say, is there a problem on my account at the moment? They'll tell you no or yes or whatever. But phone MTN yourself.
Well, Silke, I've got to say that I get probably 4 or 5 scam calls a day on my mobile phone here in Australia. So it's not just restricted to South Africa; it happens all over the world. And I have a very, very simple strategy, because when you got the Australian tax office calling you and saying, "Oh, Mr." or they call you, they have your right name. They say, "Scott."
Everything, they've got all the details.
They
scary.
say, "Scott, you know that you haven't put in your tax return for the last 12 months, and you know we need to clarify some stuff. Otherwise, you're going to have to go to court, and it could be time inside," and all this sort of stuff that they do. And of course, I've been a pensioner for 4 years, and I don't have to pay tax because I'm on a pension. So I have a lovely time with calls like that, because I say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I play up to it, and I get them all excited. And then I say, "Michael, have we tracked down this call yet?" And of course, this is going back to the guys calling. All of a sudden, you click.
It's just wasting their time, which I also love doing. I mean, I love it. Love it when they phone me. I love it.
So can I just say that for people to get calls like that, never treat them seriously, because your bank is never going to phone you. Your bank is never going to send you a text message. Your bank is never going to suggest that you put private information on a text thing. So you know it's a scam.
Like a PIN number.
Yeah, or
the
PIN
bank
number.
will never ask you for your PIN over the phone, over your computer.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever.
Yeah.
When you receive those, so all the time, MWeb is my other service provider. You have to close your MWeb account down. You haven't paid, or it's too full, or whatever. Click on this, and then you put your password in. They have access to everything.
Yeah.
Don't do it. So there's a very good way of doing it. Hit reply. Look at the email address that email has come from.
That is what you've just said now
email,
is so important, because you will find that
that's what I do.
Yeah, the URL that they're pointing you to is totally unrelated to who they claim to be part of. It'll be like do.uk. something else, and here they're pretending to be the South African tax office. So just looking at that link tells you everything you need to know.
I just hit reply, and then I know, because obviously I also get from SARS, you haven't paid, or we owe you so much money, and we need to click on this link. SARS doesn't owe me any money. I'll probably owe them money. Just put my tax return in. I'll wait and see what I owe them. But it'll be paid, and I won't have trouble.
Now, look, I've got to say, Silke, that I think the most vulnerable people to scammers are lonely people.
And elderly people.
Well, that's lonely people, yeah. Elderly people,
Yes.
lonely people who're sitting there at home. They've got, they're saying, "Oh, gee, what's the time? Okay, it's 10 o'clock. It's 2 hours before I'll get a cup of coffee." And they're sitting there, maybe they're watching something on television, and all of a sudden a message comes through, and it says, "Oh, this, that, and the other." And they say, oh, I got a message. And they get engaged in that message. These are the most vulnerable people, aren't they?
I would even say anxious people also, those who suffer from anxiety or depression.
Yeah.
Where the world is just doom and gloom for them. And please, I'm not mocking mental health at all. Mental health it's a very real issue. And I always say to people, just get to a doctor, get onto the right medication. The medication is there for you, to help you, that you just have, an upliftment of your spirits. You don't have to live your life in a depression. But of course, I'm not a doctor, and I know that sometimes to get that cocktail right is very difficult.
Yeah.
There's another scam on the laptop or even on your phone that comes through, and that's where they say, we have managed to put a tracker or something on your laptop and you've been watching porn, and we have filmed your face as you watching porn, and we have got your contact list, and we will send the video of your face and a video of what you've been watching to all your contacts. This is my response. I am a priest. I will pray for you that God shines his light upon you and relieves you of the filth in your mind, because right now you are doing the devil's work. And that's what I respond.
Yeah, well, look, I've got
Never
another,
hear from them again.
I've got another suggestion to that. Have you seen these little video clips where Ramaphosa is singing, "Don't worry, be happy"? You know,
Yes.
and it looks like Ramaphosa actually singing that. Now, when
Yes.
they're saying that they're going to have your face looking over a video clip of some porn thing, that is basic photoshopping. You know, anyone who's got half a brain will say, well, that's photoshopped. You know, it don't worry about it. Just forget it. The type of editing they can now do with graphics and video means that, seriously, unless it's actually raw video of something that you're doing with someone else, well then, okay, Houston, we have a problem. Otherwise, if it's like third-party stuff, it's bullshit. You know, anybody with half a brain will say, look, that's been edited, it doesn't mean a thing. So, you know, just chill, relax. Now,
another scam I've got to bring up, Scott.
Yeah,
I've got to bring up another scam. People, listen to me. Whoever's watching here, listen to me. Men, when you get a phone call from somebody purporting to be a police officer, even if he is, and he says to you, you paid a prostitute with fake notes, or you did not pay a prostitute, and I can make this go away for 2,000 Rand, it's a scam. If you have been hijacked, you make a police case. They've got that information. The police phone you and say, we found your car. It's going to cost you 5,000 Rand to get that car back. It's a scam.
Yeah.
Get in your other car, the one that has not been stolen, go to the police station and find out what is going on. It's a scam. When you get a phone call from any police officer who says to you, you've got to pay money to get your car back, you've got to pay money to make a docket go away, it's a scam. Don't believe it. Even for the men who visit prostitutes, who am I to judge? Don't believe it. It's all just a scam. So that's another one of the scams I wanted to bring up today.
Well, look, I just watched, in fact, I watched it an hour ago. Carte Blanche had a segment on exactly that. They were saying that there's this guy, apparently he's in a maximum prison. He's a crook. He's inside, but he's got access to a phone, and he's running the scam where he's got these prostitutes who kind of, you know, dial into him and say, look, I've got someone here who could be a good subject to try your trick on. And they get a percentage of the money that he extorts out of these people. And it's quite extraordinary. As I say, it's on Carte Blanche. And yeah, this guy is running it as a criminal inside a prison.
Yes, Scott, and most people in prisons do have access to the cell phones. Pay the guards enough. There's from outside the prisons, there's normally a felt all around the prisons. Drugs handed through the windows.
Yeah.
If you pay the guards enough, it's going to be 100% okay. You can buy anything in a prison, basically. But if you need a bed, you have to pay, I think, 300 Rand for a bed. So there are gangs in prison that control the prisons. The guards don't control the prisons. The gangs control the guards.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the bottom line we're saying here is that just be aware and don't be persuaded by your initial reaction to something that you see in a text message. You know,
Nicely.
Yeah, a very wise lawyer once said to me, because he said, Scott, he said, you know, I write a lot of letters to clients. And what I do is I actually write my draft in the night before, and I go to bed. And I get up the next morning, because there's no hurry with these things. I get up the next morning, I go back to my draft, and I read it and say, oh, I left that, because you're so close to it when you initially write it that you forget things. But when you've had a night to sleep and you come back and you look, you say, oh, gee, I should have added that, or that's irrelevant, or whatever. And then he tidies it up, and then he sends it off. Now, the same thing applies if you get a weird text message. Don't touch it. Go to bed. Think about it. Get up in the morning. Check. Make sure that well, remembering that the banks would never send you a message anyway like that. But if it's something like MTM or something like that, make sure that the link is actually relevant to the company. If it's not, which 99% of the time it won't be, don't go near it. Just delete it.
And phone the institution, because I'm getting a correspondence from Standard Bank to say that I need to FICA myself, which means I've got to give in all my documents, proof of residence, ID, and all that. And it's coming from Standard Bank, Scott. And I thought something here is wrong. It just doesn't feel right to me.
But you never you never do that stuff online. You go into the bank branch and you actually do it in the branch.
And they said I can do it online. And I phoned the bank and they said, you're up to date. We need nothing from you.
Yeah.
And I got another one yesterday.
Wow.
So I wanted to talk as well.
Just before you do, I just wanted to let you know in Australia, in the last 2 weeks, Optus and Medicare Private have had their databases of all their clients hacked.
Oh my word! The blackmail. Can you imagine?
The
STDs for everything.
Can
you imagine the blackmail?
Let me tell you how big this is. Optus has 9 million contacts. That's half of the population of Australia. 9 million. They've got their names, their addresses. In my case, they had my driver's license number. I actually got a confirmation of that, but because of my vision, I don't drive, so my driver's license is expired. They don't have my passport number, thankfully. So, they can't hack or impersonate me by stealing my identity. But 9 million Australians just through Optus. Medicare, it was 2.2 million Australians who had all their personal details compromised to hackers. This is in the last 2 weeks here in Australia. And the Australian government have now put a fine of $50 million on any company that allows this to happen in the future. You can imagine which is the best industry to be in right now in Australia. Fighting.
Can you imagine the public relations nightmare that those two medical aid companies have?
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
But look, the reason I'm saying this is because it's not just restricted to South Africa, it's happening globally. And the hacking is huge. Now, talking about that, and I've just said, how do scammers get your information? How else do scammers get your information, Silke?
They don't even need your information. So MTN, it's inside. Banks, it's inside. All of that is inside. How would MTN have my number? How would they know I'm Miss S. Kaiser? How would they have that info? How would they know? But I even get letters from Nedbank. And I'm not with Nedbank. And I get letters and Capitec saying, click on your account, there's a problem, security, etc., etc. But often it's from inside these institutions. And they have their thieves working there. And often these people will deliberately go and work there so that they can get access to information and then start dealing with their gangs.
Wow.
I want to talk about a small scam. Oh, yeah, sorry?
Yeah, sorry, before you do, when I worked at Barclays Bank in Escort, this is back in the late 1970s, early 1980s, we didn't have internet and all this sort of stuff. But what we did have was people who used to come into the bank with a savings bank book, which didn't belong to them. And I remember one particular time, I was a marketing guy. Now, the marketing guy wore many hats, and one of them was to apprehend people who were, criminals. So this guy was identified as a criminal, and as soon as the alarm was blown, he ran out of the door of Barclays Bank in escort. And my job was to go and chase him. Now, luckily, I was very fit, so I actually went down the street, and we were running down the street, and about 100 yards from Barclays Bank, there was a river, and there was some bush. And of course, what did the criminal do? He ran into this bush down this little path, and I just ran after him. And I was about, 20 feet from him, but I was just keeping him in sight. And of course, the other Barclays staff, it was quite a big thing. They were sort of watching from a distance what was going on. But of course, when we got in the bush, no one knew what was happening. And I was about 50 yards into the bush, and this guy suddenly turned around, and he showed me a knife that would have made Crocodile Dundee fall off his rock. It was huge.
Let me stop.
So anyway, I just stayed there about 20 yards from him. He actually came towards me with this big knife, and I just retreated. I knew I was a lot fitter than him, so I would outrun him. So he was quite a big guy. So I could hear that the police were coming, because I could hear the police cars, and where the path came back out into another part of escort, and the police knew that we were on this path. So I just kept him engaged, by just keeping that little distance. And he went further down the path, and that's where the river was. And as we approached the river, I could hear the police coming the other way down the path. This guy jumped into the river, and he tried to hide by going underneath the water. So the police came up, and they said, "Where's the guy? Where's the guy?" He said, "He's under the water in the river." So they started firing their bullets into the river. It was Anyway, the long and the short of it, he came up and gasping for air, and his hands up in the air, and that was the end of it. But yeah, look.
Well done, Scott. Well done. That's very brave of you.
Oh, look, I was young and foolish, but the point is that back then we didn't have these slick, very, very...
And on the scale that it is on now, the scale.
Where they don't have to confront you face to face or do something face to face, they do it all electronically. And that's a scary
Correct.
Part. Now, just
that, I want to talk about a scam that is face to face, and it's called the compost scam.
Go ahead.
Right. So there's a scam called the compost scam. Those who are watching, please listen to me. They will approach you and say, "We can fix your garden up, your grass. We've got compost, or we've got grass, the grass pieces for you." Yeah. And they'll come in and have a look, and they'll tell you what the cost is. They will do the job, and when, let's say they charge you 700 Rand, when the job is done, they will say to you 1,200. You will say to them, "But we agreed on 700. They will become very, very aggressive with you. Do not allow them in. Your answer to them when they approach you to say, "We want to put the grass down or the compost down," your only answer is, "No, thank you. Have a great day." That's your only thing. If you want to have compost or garden pieces, go to your nursery or go to the side of the road where they sell them and get someone to put them down, because those people could be very dangerous. They become very aggressive. Another thing, so many times on Facebook I see this, builders. There was, in fact, and I won't mention the name, it was a rescue center that was moving, a dog rescue center. They do brilliant work. They paid somebody 70,000 Rand. This was donated money. Paid this person 70,000 Rand. He was a referral on Facebook.
Wow.
So when people say, "Please refer somebody to me," everybody refers because everybody wants to help and look like a big deal and look important. This person came with the gun poles, and that was it. That fence was never put up. 70,000 Rand gone. What are you going to do? You can't go to court. 70,000 Rand gone. So when you are building, this is what I did when I started renovating my house, which I still have a long way to go. And this is how I will handle the building. He's going to come. He's going to give me a quote. I will say to him, "Okay, this is going to take you 3 or 4 days. Are you buying the materials or am I buying the materials? I would prefer to buy my own materials just because I know where to get it cheap. I'll buy the materials. He will come. He will do the work. I will pay him at the end of that day for that day. The next day he comes. So let's say the job is 50,000 Rand. I would pay him a part, like a third. So it takes 3 days, a third of the 50,000. Next day, another third, and the third day, another third. Doesn't want to do it like that? No problem. I'll get another builder. Because builders get paid up front, they want the deposit, they want this, they that, and then you don't see them again. This is a very, very common scam. You pay them daily, they don't like it, no problem. You'll get somebody who will like it. And now I want to talk about restaurants.
Oh.
There is a scam called the transfer scam.
Oh, what's that?
Restaurant owners, please listen to me. Don't know if you're aware of this scam. So, of course, we know that your staff will take stuff out in the dustbin and the cleaners would be involved and they put chickens in their vaginas. We know all of that. You all know that, restaurant owners.
I didn't.
But what you might not know. So let me say, for example, I come into your restaurant and I order a cappuccino. It's rung up. It's taken to the Soda Stream bar or whatever it's called. And they give me the cappuccino and I'm given the slip. I then decide to, and I don't take the slip, they'll take it back with them because that's what they do. And I will order another cappuccino. It will be done on the same slip. And they will keep a tally of cash sales and card sales and take out of the till what is over because that second cappuccino will not be rung up. This is very common when there are rounds of drinks being ordered because so many times people will say, same round, same round, same round.
Yeah.
So the slip that they give you, they will say to you, it's actually so much. And in fact, the restaurant owner is being scammed. And I went to a restaurant once where she said to me, I will give you these drinks for half price if you just pay so much money. I said, no problem. I kept that slip. I paid half price. I phoned that restaurant the next day, went back in there, told them everything, said you have to have a disciplinary and you're going to fire her. And they did not charge me for the other half. I would have been prepared to pay. But so it's called the transfer scam for restaurant owners. And also your voids, you want to be watching your voids. People will be voiding left, right, and center. They will learn how to void. And say, I don't know how to void. They know how to void. They figure it out.
Yeah.
So somebody will come and they'll order chicken schnitzel. It'll be served, will be eaten, and that whole bill will be voided, but the money's been received.
Yeah. Look,
so that's the transfer scam.
We've left the best for last, and that is online dating.
Oh, my goodness gracious me.
I mean, I before you go, I just want to say here in Australia, the online dating scam is huge. And look, I was in an online dating website years ago, and I actually came across some of the things that I'm going to talk about. And what you've got is profiles of, some woman, because I'm a guy, and, she's like 52 and she looks like a young 40. Beautiful, like a model. Okay, and there's her photo, and she's just looking absolutely amazing, from a wealthy family, and she's got everything, or ticks all the boxes, if I can put it that way. So, of course, you send out a little contact request because you're inquisitive. And she engages you, and she talks to you and says, oh, look, it's so lovely to hear from you, da-da-da-da-da. And over a few weeks, you sort of build up this, it's not an emotional relationship, but it's like a rapport. A rapport.
A rapport.
Yeah, a rapport between her and you. And then all of a sudden, this person will say, oh, the most terrible thing happened in our family last week. And you'll say, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. What happened? Well, my brother, he was involved in a huge car accident, and I need $20,000 tomorrow to get him into a hospital where they can fix him, otherwise he's going to die. And, you know, it's a scam. And the whole lead
Of
up,
course.
the whole lead up of what they've been doing to this point in time.
It's called being groomed.
Yeah,
It's called being, they groom you,
Yeah.
like a pedophile grooms his victim. You are being groomed, yes.
So
I've got something to say about that, yes.
now the golden rules about online dating are very simple. Very, very simple. And this is from someone who years ago put his foot in the water and found it to be a very, very disturbing place. But
Shark infested.
Shark infested. And both sides of the coin, whether you're male or female. But
Correct.
the golden rule is if you're engaging with someone, you need to get them on Skype so you can actually see them and you can talk to them. Because if they won't do that, and especially if they don't have a photo up, you can be guaranteed they're either married or they're a scamster. But
Or they are in Nigeria or Ghana and not who they are.
Exactly.
Who they are purporting to be.
Right.
So I want to say this
before you go, Silke, I haven't quite finished. The married folk will tend not to have a photo. So they might not be scammers, but they're looking for something on the side. But the scammers will normally have photos which are beautiful women or beautiful looking guy, and they're normally a distance from you. So they won't be like in your next suburb. They'll be like I'm in Brisbane, so Perth's about a 3.5 flight from Brisbane. So they'll be in Perth, and they'll be sending you a message. And their whole contact is based around creating that rapport, as we mentioned earlier, and then at a predetermined time suggesting that they suddenly need money to help them out of a predicament. Back to you.
We are not lonely, ladies and gentlemen. We are not desperate. If, as Scott said, he's not or she's not talking to you on Skype, that's not the person you're talking to. Men, you'll be all lovey-dovey with her and she'll be sending you photographs. You're actually talking to a man. You are talking to a man. You're telling a man how much you love him and what you'd like to do to him sexually. Red flags. They don't talk to you. And there's always drama. The drama is exhausting. And they'll send you letters, love letters. And what they often do as well is they copy and paste. They'll go onto Google and they'll copy and paste love letters and the most wonderful things to say. When their English is not great and yet they're living in an English-speaking country, red flag. Hello, dear, red flag. Widowed, red flag. Work on an oil rig, red flag. They're an engineer, red flag. Single parent, red flag. What I do, and often on Facebook, because they'll contact me on Facebook also. Hello, dear, I'm from Texas. I say, oh, what road do you live in Texas? My brother is in Texas. Sometimes I'll have photographs up. Send me that photograph, and this is what I will say. You have stolen this photograph. This is my brother-in-law. So what are you doing? And these are the things that I will say to them and shock them. So what you've got to say to them, and then if they do Skype you and it's all dark and you can't really see them because there's a problem with their camera, red flag, problem with the camera. What is the weather like in Nigeria, or when they say wherever they are? So let's say they say they're in Australia or USA. Oh, what's the weather like there today? They will not be able to answer you. And whatever they say, you Google. You say, let me just Google the weather there today. Is it raining? And what street do you live in? The other day, I had somebody contact me. He was widowed, an engineer, and he's living in Germany. So I speak enough German. Started speaking to him in German, doesn't understand a word of German. I said, that is because you're a scamster. And what I often do, so I don't know about the mothers, but I will often insult their mothers. Because when you insult somebody's mother, it shakes them. And I say, I don't blame you for being a scamster. I don't blame you for being evil in this world and not actually having the right to live. I blame your mother for not bringing you up the right way.
Yeah.
They go mad. don't talk about my mother. I say to them, the day that I take an instruction from a scamster is the day that hell will freeze over. So there are
I
your
love
red
the way you
flags for
think,
online
Silke.
dating.
I love
Sorry?
I love the way you think. I really do. You look,
Very
uh,
hard.
there's something that everybody listening to this live stream needs to know. That
Yes.
in the last month and in the next month, you're going to be in contact one way or the other with a scammer. There's no question about that. In fact, it probably happen weekly. And it's time that you guys woke up to the fact that not everybody who contacts you has your best interests in mind. They're out there to steal from you. That's their whole modus operandi. And the reason the internet has actually blown this out of all proportions is because they can do it from another country and get you to pay money into an account or a PayPal or whatever, and it's gone. It's gone. It,
Correct.
yeah, it's like
And
that.
he does not love you. And she does not love you.
No.
They say they love you. They don't love you. They just want your money.
Well,
And they work
it's
in gangs.
as you said just a moment ago. It's probably not a she. It's probably a he. Just
And
think about
Scott,
it.
they also work in gangs, so they'll take turns to message you.
Yeah.
So one day it'll be A that will message you, the next it'll be B, but all pretending to be the love of your life.
Yeah.
The love of your life. Ladies, if you are talking to a man in another country and he cannot meet you, he cannot speak to you, and he cannot speak to you on the phone, and he's giving you a sob story, ladies, you are being scammed. The fantasy is not the reality. You are being scammed. Do not send money. Do not do it. Why would you be involved with a loser in any case? Somebody who doesn't have their own money, I'm sorry for the men that are unemployed, and I know there's been hardships, but you don't want a man who will take money from a woman and vice versa. There are ways to earn money in this world. So don't send money, please. Number one rule.
Yeah, and it comes back to that question we asked earlier: who is most likely to be scammed? And that is the lonely, the elderly, and people who just sitting there at home, nothing's happening.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they get engaged with this person, man or woman, who claims to be the love of their life. I mean, that is
Yes.
that is a claim. You know that there was a news program that went to air last week in Australia. $200 million has been scammed through dating sites here in Australia from people.
I
That's
watched a
reported.
program on that. I think it was 60 Minutes
Yeah,
about the scamming in Australia.
Yeah, that's reported. Now remember, they say that probably 9 out of 10 people are so embarrassed they don't say anything. So you can look at not $200 million per annum, but maybe up to $2 billion. That's about 25 billion rand amongst a population of
Correct.
20 million in Australia have been scammed
That would
by
make
people.
sense.
Yeah.
So people, don't be desperate for love. Don't be desperate for love. That desperation will lead you. You will lose your house. We know this. People lose their homes. They sell their homes because now he's lost his bank cards. The oil rig has run into a problem and they can't pay wages. All these stories, they're just stories and it's crap.
And one of the classic old ones that I remember is where they say, "Oh, I've just come into this inheritance of $50 million, but because of tax reasons, I can't actually do it, and I'm looking for a way to actually give that money to somebody."
Access.
And then you say, "Yeah, that sounds exciting. Yeah, I'll do it." And then they say, "Well, look, we need $5,000 to actually pay for the transfer
To
of the
unlock
money."
those funds.
Yeah, whatever. Unlock the funds, and of course, bang, it's gone. So, look, if the simple answer is, if it seems too easy, too simple, it's like, hey, I never made money this easy. Guess what? You're being scammed.
100%.
Now, Silke, I'm going to wrap up this live stream, but look, is there something you'd like to say to people? Because we've been going at a hammer and tongue about all sorts of stuff. Is there something in particular you'd like to give people as advice on this subject?
When you receive an email or an SMS, stop, pause, think. Just hit the reply button. You'll see where it comes from. You'll know it's a scam. Don't open a thing. Do not open any of their links. When you get a phone call from a service provider saying they're going to swap your SIM card, whatever, put that phone down. If you're like me, you'll first play a game. If you're not like me, you'll put the phone down. You will phone your service provider just to reassure yourself. Don't allow anybody into your home saying, we'll change your garden and whatever. Not anybody that you do not know. And as I said, builders, pay them daily. And we are not desperate, especially ladies. I'm a lady. We are not desperate for love. We are not desperate for love. We don't have to pay for love. We are worthy. And some of us will never meet our soulmates, and that's also okay. It's okay to be single, ladies. So take care, love yourselves, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, well, the same thing applies to guys.
Yes.
Guys.
I don't want to leave you guys out. It's just that I'm a girl.
I get it. Now, I'm going to wrap up this live stream and just say thank you, Silke, for coming on. And for those who don't know, Silke is one of South Africa's top. Well, you tell us what you do, Silke.
I wouldn't view myself like that at all.
Well,
but I do polygraph examinations, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm the top one. I would not go that far.
Yeah, but you're the person who sits down with people and through years of experience is able to just intuitively work out who the bad eggs are. And
yes,
yeah,
sometimes. Sometimes, Scott.
Silke, lovely speaking to you. And
likewise, Scott.
I look forward to our next chat. And
sure.
Thank you, because I think we covered a lot of ground tonight. And yeah, just
bye-bye, Scott. Have a great day. Cheers.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Silke.
Bye all. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. That was Silke Kaiser, who is a what's it called? She does polygraphs, and where they put stuff on you and they can test your reactions to see whether you're telling the truth or whether you're full of BS. So she's pretty good at this subject. Now, guys, I'm going to wrap up with Hier bly ek boer. And just before I do wrap up, I will be sending out the first broadcast email on Loving Life TV this weekend, which will include to a huge number of people who've already registered on Loving Life TV the addresses, the website addresses for the 2 YouTube channels that we have. And look, just like scamming, believe me, being on a platform like YouTube is risky business, because you never know who's there, you never know who's going to report you, you never know what's going to go on. But we have so much experience in this area, it's crazy. I think we've seen everything. All right, guys, have a great evening. Have a great weekend. Watch out for that email. Make sure that you're registered on lovinglifetv.com. And if I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window, as I used to say in that old radio program, Taxi, that ran for years in South Africa when I was a young man. Here comes, hier bly ek boer. Take care, guys. Bye for now.
Meer as 61,000 van ons voorvaders het op die grens vir ons gesterwe, sodat ons vry kan wees. Die is my land, die is my reg. Hier is ek boer. Van stof is ek gemaak en sal ek terugkeer. Die Bybel is die woord waaruit ek leer, soos die grond op die aarde. Hier bly ek boer. Soos 'n dief in die nag sal die vyand kom,
Maar hier bly ek staan en ek draai nie om, want jy maak my nie bang nie. Hier bly ek boer. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my sweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voor. Hier bly ek voor. Soos bladam in die somer wat vreugde bring. My oupa wat maniekie roek kon sing. Soos hy stap deur die lande. Hier was hy boer. My wortels lê diep in die grond geplant. Hy sien soos my pa los ek vir jou die land. En jy hoef nie te vrees nie. Hier sal jy boer. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my sweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voor. Hier bly ek voor. Die sal kom, 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 die sal kom.